Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. And ladies and gentlemen, what is looking to be an explosive week for the future of the world, Johnny Crypto posted a gentle reminder that the World Economic Forum is having their yearly conference this week. The World Economic Forum will be at Davos, and Ripple will be at the forefront of their crypto discussions. This is going to be very interesting as they'll be hosting numerous CEOs, Brad Garlinghouse being one of them, and numerous crypto discussions that I highly recommend all of you pay attention to, and I will be posting quite a bit of the important news from this conference as I do every year. But I have to remind all of you that this week, after the ETF approval for Bitcoin, an Ethereum ETF is more and more likely, and discussions on mainstream television even came to fruition about an XRP ETF. We understand that XRP is a laggard in regards to price action in the crypto space. But we need to understand that XRP is a stepping stone to tokenization of real-world assets. That has always been one of XRP's major use cases. And Larry Fink makes no hesitation about discussing this very thing. You all need to understand the compound effect that this will have for the price of some of your favorite digital assets, and realize that any prices you have before you now are magical buying opportunities.
The industry, meaning companies like yours, asked the SEC to allow folks who might have owned shares via a Grayscale to be able to transfer those in kind to a Blackrock or to Fidelity or whomever.
And so that there would be no tax ramifications. That was not denied. They wanted to really just create from scratch cash only, which we all respect the SEC's reasoning.
That creates an opportunity, actually, for Grayscale to keep those customers for a much longer time.
It does, but I think over the long run, when you start adding up the fees and adding up the fees, people are going to start thinking about redeeming and then ultimately going into an ETF.
Longer term, do you now expect other cryptocurrency ETFs? Meaning, do you think that Gary, and we'll talk to him later, Gary
like Ethereum
will have to approve an Ethereum ETF? And is that a function of something the SEC has to do, or do you think that all these things have to go to court first?
I couldn't respond to that. I see value in having an Ethereum ETF. As I said, these are just stepping stones towards tokenization. And I really do believe this is where we're going to be going. We have the technology to tokenize today. If you want to talk about, think about this. If you had a tokenized security and you have a tokenized identity, you, Andrew, the moment you buy or sell an instrument, it is known. It's on a general ledger that is all created together. You want to talk about issues around money laundering and all that. This eliminates all corruption by having a tokenized system.
Jamie Dimon disagrees with you on that, but, or at least to some degree.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, in this episode of Decipher the Lizard Talk, we need to look at what they do and also listen to what they say. This is the first time I've heard the Blackrock CEO Larry Fink, who quite literally controls the world's money, discussing how this prevents money laundering and illicit finance. He's saying this is the stepping stones, the initial steps for tokenization. First, a Bitcoin ETF. Next, an Ethereum ETF. And with XRP gaining clarity in the United States, an XRP ETF is on the way. Charles Gasparito on Fox stated Fink barely knows that XRP exists. However, Larry Fink hired Mitchnick as his head of digital assets. The same Mitchnick who developed the XRP price calculator. Is Charles Gasparito being straight up with the XRP community? I highly doubt that. But it's one of those things that makes you say, Now, not only that, Robert Mitchnick, ex-Ripple employee and current head of global digital assets as Blackrock, knows nothing about XRP, quote-unquote. A token working with banks globally, you say. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to misquote anybody. I have the receipts. Please listen to the head of global digital assets at Blackrock. Let you know what he knows about a tokenized world.
Most people recognize that out of all the developments in the blockchain and digital assets ecosystem, DeFi is potentially the most transformative, right? It's also, in some ways, the furthest afield from being able to kind of have widespread adoption. But unlike, in the early days, permission blockchain use case here or crypto here, there's not one institution in finance who doesn't have some path to being disrupted by DeFi, right? So everything else has been a mix of kind of opportunities and maybe threats. DeFi forces everyone to say, what does this mean for us if this actually happens? So everybody's paying attention. You're just not at the point yet where you've got kind of banks and asset managers.
Yeah.
Now, guys, the reason I'm going on an absolute clipcapade is because all of you need to listen to some people literally tell you the plan. Right now, we are in the lull and the subtle price decrease after the Bitcoin ETF sell the news. But you need to remember that trillions are on their way. Credibility has been established here in the crypto market. Legitimacy has been established in the crypto market. A lot of that legitimacy was washed away because of FTX, Celsius, BlockFi, Terra Luna, stablecoins imploding by 20% in 24 hours. But right here, right now, this week, we gained that back with the snap of a finger. Trillions are coming into this market, and all of our coins, the ones that will survive at the very least, are going to get a major injection of all that liquidity. And I believe XRP will be the top crypto when everything's said and done, with the highest ROI in 2024. Look at what they do. Don't listen to what they say.
You just need to follow the money. JP Morgan, for example, is planning to tokenize their gold holdings. Just think, the entire gold and silver markets are worth about $12 trillion combined. Think about that transfer of wealth. That's $12 trillion that could eventually become tokenized. Or look at US Treasuries. That's a $22 trillion market. This is happening now. Goldman Sachs have started testing. They're tokenizing treasuries, and they've called this a pivotal moment. And again, this is just the beginning. You take a look at this. Okay. John, do you see what I'm holding here in my hand?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a patent that was filed by the New York Stock Exchange.
The New York Stock Exchange?
Yes.
Okay.
The New York Stock Exchange was founded in 1792, and it houses the world's biggest companies. I'm talking about companies like Exxon, Citigroup, Walmart, Bank of America, Berkshire, JP Morgan, Visa, and more than I can count. All told, there's $27 trillion in market value in that market. Well, get this, John. The NYSE, the patent they just filed, reserves the right to become a fully digital marketplace. In other words, my research indicates they could be preparing to become a full marketplace for tokenized assets.
That is huge. That's big news.
It's massive. Just think about what this means. Soon, on top of being able to buy shares like Apple or Amazon, imagine you can log into your brokerage account, and on top of buying your stocks, you can buy an early share of the next millionaire-making piece of art, or a Picasso. Or imagine this, John. What if you bought a small stake in Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago real estate? Imagine if you could buy into it years ago. Had you been able to, you could have made an impressive 30 times your money. Now, thanks to tokenization, you'll be able to take stakes in investments like those alongside investors like Mark Cuban, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, and many, many more.
The tokenization of real-world assets is here. Fractional ownership is the future. Remember when the World Economic Forum told you will own nothing and be happy? That was partially true. You'll own nothing physical in this world because we need to have it in a different location. But you could buy this digital representation of part of that thing that you can't have. Ladies and gentlemen, the value of everything is going to be so exponentially expensive. Inflation is going to return in 2024 like you never expected. And unbelievable bail-in scenarios, economic freeze-like scenarios, ICE 9-like scenarios, like Jim Rickards has been highlighting for years. is getting more and more likely. Ladies and gentlemen, they need events. They need systemic changes in order to usher in the digital world and digital financial system they want. And I think if you haven't heard this before, this is a gentle reminder of what they're trying to nudge us all into.
But the point I was making, this is where the ICE 9 analogy comes in. If you close one venue, and let's just say the New York Stock Exchange, because it's going straight down, the markets are disorderly, too much wealth is being lost, and they close the New York Stock Exchange. Those who need liquidity, those who want cash, will go to another venue. They'll start taking money out of their money market funds. Well, then, what does that mean? Well, the money market fund sponsors have to sell assets, commercial paper, treasury bills, and other instruments to meet the redemptions. So then you have to close the money market funds. So then what do people do? Well, they'll go to the banks and they'll start taking all the money out of their bank accounts and the ATMs. And then, so they'll have to close the banks and close the ATMs. And the point is, it spreads from stock exchange to money market funds to banks to other venues, the same way that the original ICE 9 would spread from a river to the ocean to the entire world. That's a danger of this kind of spreading that you have to think about before you close the first venue. Closing the first venue won't do you any good if you're just going to go to other venues and have to close them also. So in effect, if you want to close anything, you might have to close everything, shut down the system, call a timeout, and then in some fashion reboot the system, perhaps with something like a new Bretton Woods conference or the intervention of the IMF, et cetera. So that's ICE 9 at a very high level and a very global level.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I posted all that I posted today is because I am bullish as hell on 2024. 2024 is going to be the most bullish year we've had in crypto since 2021, and especially for XRP as the SEC case comes to its full-blown conclusion. We understand XRP is already not a security, but now Ripple will be freed, and whatever needs to be paid and needs to be dotted, needs to be crossed, will be done fully and absolutely. I'm here to remind you every single day that XRP has been chosen in advance. And every single one of you need to realize that everything we've been discussing on this channel and in the XRP army is about to come to fruition. Here, we have from December 19th at this FMLS 2023 conference, talking about Web3 and payments, discussing what the future holds. I show you all these clips so you know what the news for the classes is before the masses wake up. Because that is the only way you all become the new 1%. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
And what do you think?
Just a quick comment. I think we also have to concentrate on the cross-border payments piece. With traditional methods such as SWIFT, you're taking some certain corridors. Let's take, for example, from Southeast Asia, you're sending money into the EU or the UK. Settlement could take up to 5 or 6 days, and you're paying 2-3%, if not more, at times. And so we have to innovate in the space on traditional methods such as SWIFT, and we can use blockchain technology. A lot of startups are coming into the space, for example, such as ourselves or other players who are innovating on stablecoins. There's players that are innovating on native tokens, such as Ripple. JP Morgan, who's already existing, who are innovating on stablecoins. There's players that are innovating on native tokens, such as Ripple. JP Morgan, who's already existing, behemoth in the space, is working on their own.
Okay, it's time to go. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Well, if we leave aside for now CBDCs, what other successful experiences are there for solving those challenges and to implementing innovations? I remember, Nikita, you mentioned you had a wide experience on those. Would you like to share successful use case?
Yeah, so I think so Web3 is like a more broader umbrella. Like cryptocurrency is probably one aspect of Web3, but under the Web3 umbrella, you have so many different ways that, you know, Web3 new technology is helping with payments. So for example, you know, with the blockchain protocols, you have smart contracts that are able to facilitate transactions without any middleman. You have NFTs that are providing you ownership. You have cryptocurrencies, which are, you know, helping remittances, cross-border payments, peer-to-peer transactions, micropayments. So we're already seeing tons of use cases for cryptocurrencies. You know, some of my favorite use cases are Ripple. I think Ripple's done a great job at, you know, not only just, you know, standing its ground fighting with the SEC, but in Dubai, you know, DIFC just approved Ripple XRP and Toncoin as, you know, as a mode of utility for payments for their 4,000 plus portfolio or ecosystem companies. Some of my favorite use cases are Ripple. I think Ripple's done a great job at, you know, not only just, you know, standing its ground fighting with the SEC, but in Dubai, you know, DIFC just approved Ripple XRP and Toncoin as, you know, as a mode of utility for payments for their 4,000 plus portfolio or ecosystem companies. So that's a use case happening right in front of our eyes. It gives it more value. Another use case that I really like is, some of my favorite use cases are Ripple. I think Ripple's done a great job at, you know, not only just, you know, standing its ground fighting with the SEC, but in Dubai, you know, DIFC just approved Ripple XRP and Toncoin as, you know, as a mode of utility for payments for their 4,000 plus portfolio or ecosystem companies. So that's a use case happening right in front of our eyes. It gives it more value. Another use case that I really like is,
we're a little bit running out of time. So in everything that we've said and thinking and looking at this fintech revolution and Web3 payments, how traditional financial institutions can catch up, follow, and be together on the same curve of development. We've mentioned CBDCs. Anything else except that? Anybody would like to?
Yeah, so we're already seeing that with the Bitcoin ETF applications coming up soon, and I think it's going to be a great use case. I think there's what is it, like 12 applications or something like that. So I think that's already a great step forward.
We're already seeing a lot of these traditional giants come into the space. You know, HSBC tokenizing gold. We're seeing, as I mentioned, JP Morgan. We're already seeing a lot of these traditional giants come into the space. You know, HSBC tokenizing gold. We're seeing, as I mentioned, JP Morgan built. We're already seeing a lot of these traditional giants come into the space. You know, HSBC tokenizing gold. We're seeing, as I mentioned, JP Morgan building their Onyx project for cross-border settlements and, you know, other products that go under that project. We are seeing, you know, multiple of these banks come in and trying to innovate on the blockchain, whether it be in payments or tokenizing, you know, funds, tokenizing gold, or as Nikita mentioned, the ETFs. So these, you know, behemoths or giants, they know the value, they understand the industry to a certain extent, and they're coming in. And once they come in, it's going to be a lot of volume coming our way. So get prepared. Value, they understand the industry to a certain extent, and they're coming in. Once they come in, it's going to be a lot of volume coming our way. So get prepared.
Everybody's excited.